Hey, can I be real with you for a second? I've been playing World of Warcraft for over 20 years. It's not just a game to me, it's part of my life. Now, I know I'm not the only person out there that's in this same situation. It's memories, late nights, rage with friends and family, guild mates. What if one day you log in, boom, you're banned? No warning, no explanation, just you did something wrong. You sit there staring at the screen like, what just happened? All those years, all that money, all those friendships gone in an instant. An account you've been working on for 20 years, gone. This happened to my wife. It's been a little bit of time now. It happened about, I'm thinking it was about 6 months ago, maybe close to a year now. But lately, I've been seeing popping up on other channels this very same issue. Now, I kind of told somebody I wouldn't go into this, but I have to back out on that. And the reason they wanted me not to really get into it is because someone helped us get her account back that maybe, I don't know, maybe they shouldn't have. I don't know. They knew somebody that's an influential streamer that knew a GM, and some favors got called in. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, she did absolutely nothing wrong. She doesn't cheat. She doesn't buy gold. I believe what happened with my wife was she was buying stuff off the auction house. It was, I think the Dark Moon Fair was either already there or was coming, and she was doing widgets, and she was making, she had me on one character making armor for her so she could disenchant the armor, and she would sell the enchants. Sell the mats for enchanting, and, she was, buying and selling on the auction house, playing the market. Well, she bought a bunch of stuff off the auction house, and when she went to collect it, it didn't collect. It took the gold. It shows where she bought it. She looked in Auctionator and it showed where she bought it. But then when she went to collect it, it wasn't there. Well, we opened a ticket. They come back to us saying, check the thing where if you throw something out your bag, or go check that, and it'll give you the item back. Well, we went and checked, and they said, well, that's if you throw something out your bag or something, or disenchant something you shouldn't have disenchanted, you can use that restore option, but not if you didn't receive it from the auction house. And we responded back to them. And then they trying to, oh, well, you received it right here. I said, no, that was something that we bought previously, because she was doing a lot of purchases. It was a ton of stuff. But they should be able to keep up with that. They're the ones who are supposed to be able to keep up with this, but they weren't. And most of this was automated. I don't know if you ever had to deal with any of the complaint systems, the customer service, but it's all automated. And but finally, we do get somebody. Well, we're over there crafting something. Her account gets shut off mid crafting, so she's freaking out. Now and then what they said was they were acting like there was suspicious activity. What was the suspicious activity? That she was complaining and y'all couldn't figure it out? That's how it felt. That's how I believe it was, in fact. And they were trying to say she was doing something illegal, but they wouldn't tell us what. They refused to tell us what. We had somebody that he didn't say that he was a GM, but he seemed to know all the GMs. I think he was some kind of way involved with them. And, you know, look, I was going to quit WoW too. If she had gotten kicked out and couldn't get her account back, I was going to quit. I mean, I'm not going to play and my wife got wrongfully banned. I mean, if she had been doing some shenanigans and she got banned, that's on her. But to get banned for not doing anything, no, I'm not rolling with that. You know, I just have to quit and I'll just deal with it. And I mean, that's fine. The guildmates convinced her to open a new account. She started a new account, leveled up a character that we power leveled her. Honestly, it was one of the coolest things I've been part of. I don't know if you've ever had anybody rally around you to help you in that way. Normally, look, we level. We've been playing this game for a long time. We just do it, you know. But we've never had a whole guild rally behind us in that way. We've never needed that before, and so it really made me feel a certain way. You know, it made me feel proud to be part of the guild, and so that was really cool. But what was even cooler, we got the account back. So now she's got 2 accounts, and yeah, I'm still paying for 2 accounts for her. So anyway, because she doesn't want to lose either account. And like I was saying, somebody, you know, and he told us afterwards that, look, they still feel she was doing something. I said, look, she wasn't doing anything. And, you know, you go I mentioned it because I was bitter. I was a bitter bitch about the whole thing. You know, I was on there typing into trade chat and stuff about what happened. And I was, you know, complaining, letting people know what happened. And people were like, well, you need to quit buying gold. You need to quit. None of that happened. That was all, you know, look, reality is WoW players can be very toxic too. They don't want to hear, you know, what's really going on. They think you did something. And that's why it's hard to convince people. It's like, look, we need to be able to have a way to complain, a way to talk about things. They need to be able to tell us what do they think happened. And then they won't do that. They won't do that. And I don't understand why. Because if it's something I'm doing, if I'm doing something illegal, I know what I'm doing. I know what's the illegal. I don't need you to tell me. You're not tipping me off to something. The only way you're tipping me off to something is if I'm not doing that thing. And, I mean, I'd have been willing to give them access to my computer and everything. And they're like, well, you're responsible for, you know, anything that's on your computer as far as, any kind of software that gets put on there. Okay. True enough. I understand that, but I still don't know if something's on there. And they haven't come back and said since about it. You know, so it makes me feel, honestly, I think they're full of shit. I think they didn't like us going back and forth with them. And like some cop, they shut us down and was trying to make an example out of us. I could be wrong on that, but that's how I feel. That's how they make you feel. It was definitely a bad, nasty situation. And like I was saying before, the only good thing that came out of it is, you know, the loyalty from the guild was really evident. You know, it was like, wow, And look, she's loyal to the guild too. That's why they were willing. I think partly was why they were willing to do that for her. She doesn't just make the gold, just the stash gold. She helps people out. She gives them gold. Maybe they're thinking she's funneling gold to guild members. I don't know. It's not. She doesn't have that kind of gold. I mean, we're playing sod, and she tries to keep a steady 8 to 10,000 gold, which is okay. At the time, it was really good because it was, like I said, it was about a year ago. Now it's not as big a deal. People have a lot more gold than that. But it definitely, it was shocking that they took not just her account, her World of Warcraft account, they shut down her whole Blizzard account. So if you got games on the other, like if you're running StarCraft or anything like that, or Overwatch or something, that's all gone too. That's silly. So maybe a little side advice. If you're worried about ever this kind of thing happening to you, maybe don't keep everything on one account. It's just run a different email, get it on a separate account. The convenience of it, I don't feel like is worth the risk of you losing your account. And it's very possible you lose your account for no reason whatsoever, just like she did. Like I said, she eventually got it back, but not everybody's going to have that. And we have other guildmates that lost their accounts as well later on. And that guy kind of used up his favors. It's not, he couldn't just keep doing that. And she shouldn't have had to do that. We should have a customer service. It's not too much to ask. I want to be able to have someone to talk to and say, look, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'll give you access to my computer. You can see I'm not doing anything wrong. Or something. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of what they can and cannot do. But I do feel like we have more rights than what that terms of service says. Just because something's your policy, I don't feel like that's the end of it. Point being, they have expectations from us. And that's what the terms of service is. But guess what? I also have expectations of them. I expect them, we got the obvious expectations. We want a good game, a fun game. But I expect to not just be kicked out of the game for no reason. It's a lot of money, a lot of time we put in. I have to have some trust. I do think, for me at least, the trust has been broken. As much as I love the game, I have been reaching out. I've never played another game before. For 20 years, I've only played World of Warcraft. I know other people are probably in the same boat. Old guys like myself, But now I'm to the point where I'm checking out other games. Now, trying to do a YouTube channel that's perpetuating that a little bit. I don't want to just do it on World of Warcraft, even though they're saying I should niche down. Well, I don't know, maybe. If you ever find yourself need to make put a ticket in, I don't know, that'll be worth it. Because part of me thinks that they just didn't want me bugging them. Because there was no reason for them to ban her. She spends all day fishing, doing enchanting, and doing the things, playing the auction house, and that's all she really enjoys doing. She doesn't really, she will raid, but that's not her enjoyment. She'll raid because if you need a healer, she'll step in. If you don't really need a healer, she'd rather just sit there and play the auction house. like every year or so, it seems like you got to sign a new terms of service. And if you don't, well, everything that you've already done is pretty much null and void, because the only option you have is to click that to keep playing, or you're done. Not much of a choice, really. So you just keep going and you just hope nothing happens. Well, for 20 years, nothing really, I never knew anyone to get banned. And all of a sudden now people are getting banned left and right. I've had several people in my guild get banned. My wife got banned twice, but like I explained, the first time it got resolved. Then the second time it was only for like 20 minutes. So that fixed itself. And I get it. It's their game. But for 20 years, I felt like it was our world. And now they're treating people like your numbers, not people. It feels like our loyalty doesn't mean anything anymore. And let's be honest, there's only so many MMO players out there. We bounce between games. Like, you know, I'm playing some Ashes right now. I do still play World of Warcraft. I love it. It's still my favorite game. But look, Ashes is pretty nice. And there are other MMOs out there. People will swear by Final Fantasy 14. It's not my jam, but look, I appreciate it. I'm glad it's out there. You got to remember who's treating you right and who's not, though. And I think right now, Blizzard is running people off. Not because the game is bad. Some people are saying the game's the best it's ever been. But because the trust is gone. I'm not here to throw a tantrum. I'm here to say if this happened to you, you're not alone. And if it hasn't, just know it can. Look, I'm not walking away from World of Warcraft. But I can see when people talk about, oh, Warcraft, you know, some people say Warcraft will never end. Some people are always saying it's inevitable. Well, it is inevitable. Eventually, 100 years from now, nobody's going to be playing World of Warcraft. But within the foreseeable future, look, I wouldn't have thought I'd be playing it 20 years later. And here we are. When it does fall, I do believe customer service is going to be one of the biggest reasons it fell. Now, what can constitute a fall? Well, that doesn't necessarily mean the full shutdown of the game. But if enough, if it's like, I guess some people are saying it's no longer the number one MMO. I disagree. I do think it's still the number one MMO. Because I'll include vanilla. If you include vanilla, all the vanillas with the retail, it's by far and away still probably the number one MMO. The problem is not that many people play MMO compared to like console games and these other games. So it's not the biggest game, but I do see there are other games come up and coming. I think in 2 weeks, Dune's coming out. I'm looking forward very much to play that. And like I was trying to say earlier, the community, the MMO community, people who love MMOs, the community is only so big. And then people bounce around from game to game as new releases come out. Let's say WoW gets stagnant, a little stale for a little while. Well, they'll go play something else. They'll go enjoy some Final Fantasy. Maybe Final Fantasy will release a patch or something, and we'll go play that for a little while. And then you go play something else. Ashes. I've been playing a lot of Ashes lately. I enjoy it very much. Now, it's still an alpha, so it has a long ways to go. It's not polished. It's not a true game yet. But it's still fun to play and delve into that world a little bit. It's an easy fix. If you need to charge, if they've cut out customer service where I can't call somebody on the phone and say, hey, here's my problem. I think you may have made a mistake. I've done nothing wrong. There used to be someone I could contact and get in touch with back in the day. Now, that's been a long time since they've had that. But look, it's also been a long time since they've raised their rates. I'm 100% willing to... And I imagine most people are willing to kick in an extra couple dollars a month to have a customer service. This is stupid. It really is. I mean, it's such an easy fix. If you need to charge a couple extra dollars, do that, but get customer service back. Make it to where people can, if they can have a complaint. They're already losing subscribers. I mean, look, you're not going to convince me. People are, subscriptions are going up, and if it is, it's insignificant. It's just about a little bit. It's not like it was 2008 anymore. So yeah, stay tuned. I've been working on a song about this whole thing, crafted with AI, but full of real frustration. It's all in good fun, but the message that's pretty serious. I mean, it's to point. And thanks for hearing me out. Let's keep this discussion going. Comment down below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.